Hi, this is James Francis, and you're watching First Look.
Hello, I'm Don Was, president of Blue Note Records. James Francis is one of the most creative and visionary pianists, composer, producers in music. Over the last few years, he's collaborated with a really wide variety of artists, including Childish Gambino, Pat Metheny, The Roots, Mark Ronson, Chris Potter, Common, Eric Harland, and Ms. Lauryn Hill. And his brilliant new Blue Note album is called Purest Form. James, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You made a very deep, very personal album, and I feel like this one took you on a real journey, seeking the purest form of who you are and the purest form of what music essentially is.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Sure. I mean, the title Purest Form, I've talked to people about it and they say, how do you achieve the purest form? I feel like a lot of people feel that's something that you have to achieve or you're constantly seeking. But the thing, at least for me, that works when I think about it is the purest form is something that we already are. Just us being is already our purest form. So a lot of the times we have to remove things, a lot of preconceived ideas, a lot of, insecurities, the way we think something should sound if we're talking music or what we think other people are going to respond to versus what we think is great. And really it's just allowing ourselves to just exist. So the purest form, this album was just allowing myself to not even just go for it, but just exist and just be in such a vulnerable and creative state. And when I got the musicians together, all my friends that I've worked with for like a long time, over 10 years at this point, we all got in and we know each other so well. And we just allowed ourselves to create something that was totally us. And the wise, the writing, the production, it was just who and what we truly are.
The music on this album, I have no idea how to describe it, which I think is a great thing. Now, I've known you maybe since you were a teenager, I think.
Yeah.
We've always had discussions about the limitations of the genre categorization, what that does to the artist and what it does to the listener. What are your thoughts about that now, particularly in relation to this new record?
Yeah, I mean, you and I have had that conversation so much. I feel that what is a border, right? What is a genre? What is any border? It's just like a confine of like our mind where we tell ourselves what something is. Like all labels are just kind of like a safety blanket for us, where we like, okay, this is that because I'm going to call it that, and every time I see that, it's going to be that. But I feel like with music, if you already call something a certain thing, you're already coming in with expectations versus just coming in with an open mind and calling it after the fact. You should label something after you check it out versus saying, oh, I'm going to go see a comedy movie or I'm going to go see a horror movie, but nobody's seen it yet.
Yeah.
So you go in and saying like, why am I not laughing? Well, it's like, well, they said it was a comedy movie, but these people said something else. So why can't we just say it's a movie? Or like independent films, you think about independent films, a lot of times it's like, oh, we're not calling this and this. It's just, a piece of art. Like,
make of it what you will. Yeah, I agree with you. Now, you come out of Houston, Texas, and you attended that great performing arts school that spawned like Robert Glasper, Chris, Eric, Jason Moran, Mike Moreno, and Peyton, who are both on the album.
Right, yeah.
All genre-defying artists. And you got a song on the album called 713, which is the Houston area code.
Right? It is the Houston area code, yeah.
What's going on there?
There's no masks. Nobody's wearing a mask. That's right.
I come from Detroit. I always felt the same thing. There was very little artifice and pretense. There was no point, man. It's a working class town. And
yeah.
Well, let's play 713 from
sure.
his latest release, Purest Form. That's 713 713 from James Francey's new album. The song Rosewater, that's another really poignant, boundary-stretching, beautiful collaboration between you and Elliot Skinner. Tell us about that one.
Sure. Elliot's actually from Dallas. He went to the HSPVA in Dallas, so we knew each other from high school, where we would do these summer programs and all the Grammy bands and all those all-star high school groups. So I texted Elliot. I said, "Hey, I have this song. I don't really have lyrics to it. I have like a couple things here and there, but could you help me with some lyrics, and would you be down to sing this?" So he came over to the house, brought his guitar, and we cut it like the next day, and it's pure magic. I mean, it was one of those things where we had never played before. We had hung all these times, but we sat down to play. It was just pure magic.
Let's listen to it. That was Rosewater from James Francey's new album, Purest Form. Now, your dad, James Sr., does a really poignant reading from his own memoir on the song Freedman's Town. Tell us about that.
Yeah. My mom passed away back in January, so we went down, and we were like putting the finishing pieces on everything, and I had my microphone and my interface. I always travel with those, and we were just sitting around. I was like, "Hey, you want to try reading something from your book?" Because he's always working on his book. And I said, "Yeah, I think this might be the time for, make your debut." So I set him up in the bedroom, had the microphone, and put him in these headphones. And I said, "Well, just read, and I'll sort it out later." And that's what happened. He did it like in 1-2 takes. And he's like, "Is this okay?" And I was like, "It's perfect."
It's awesome. Let's play that.
Yeah.
I was born in an area of Houston, Texas, known as the Fourth Ward at that time. Currently, that area is called Midtown. There's quite a bit of difference from the time that I lived there and there is right now. Fourth Ward at that time was just a convergence of dilapidated old buildings. Those buildings were deserted by early Houstonians, but it was called something else at the time. It wasn't called Fourth Ward. Fourth Ward was originally called Freedman's Town.
That's Freedman's Town from the latest release from James Francey, Purest Form. James, you made an awesome, mind-blowing album, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It's great to see you, and thanks so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Of course, always a pleasure.
Good, man. Thanks to everybody for watching. We'll see you next time on First Look. If you enjoyed First Look and would like to see more, please hit the subscribe button and also click the bell icon. That way, you'll be notified when we post our next video.